Hello, brothers and sisters. Today we get to see the effects of believing the gospel and the effects of being under the old covenant law. And Paul writes to the Galatians. This is our passage to look at together for this week. Galatians 4:12-16. He says, I plead with you, brothers and sisters, become like me, for I became like you. You did me no wrong. As you know, it was because of an illness that I first preached the gospel to you. And even though my illness was a trial to you, you did not treat me with contempt or scorn. Instead, you welcomed me as if I were an angel of God, as if I were Christ Jesus himself. Where then is your blessing of me now? I can testify that if you could have done so, you would have torn out your eyes and given them to me. Have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth? So Paul preached the gospel to these Galatians. This good news, such good news. And believers of the gospel truly love those who preach it to them. It stirs their hearts with love. It helps them know of their forgiveness and right standing with God. It makes Jesus very precious to them. Because of that, they really appreciate those who preach the gospel to them. Now, did you notice the effects of Paul preaching the gospel to these people? I saw 3 of them. First of all, they welcomed Paul as if he were Jesus Christ himself. Secondly, they blessed him. And thirdly, they would have plucked out their eyes and given them to Paul if it could have helped with his illness. Wow, such love and appreciation. I mean, the results of believing the gospel are amazing. And so the Galatians heard from Paul that because Jesus was fully rejected at the cross and he died there for them, they were then fully accepted and welcomed in. And that is how they treated Paul. The effects of them believing that were that they were now opening their lives. They were welcoming of others, welcoming of Paul. And they also heard that Jesus took their curse. Remember, Paul said that in Galatians 3? Jesus, as he hung on the cross, was bearing in his body their sin, their shame, and the curse of God, leaving them with nothing but blessing. And so as an overflow, they blessed others. They had blessed Paul. These are the effects of believing the gospel. Finally, they heard that God loved them so much that he plucked out his own heart for them, plucked out his beloved Son from heaven, and he sent him to earth to live and die in their place. You see, it's out of this overflowing gratitude that they would gladly respond in the same way. They would pluck out their eyes if they could help Paul with them. Those are the effects of taking the gospel into your heart, of seeing Jesus pouring out his life for you. You see, seeing the cross of Christ in these vivid colors powerfully works in the hearts of people, sets them free from their sin, makes them big-hearted, loving, giving, welcoming, blessing. Appreciation for those who preach the cross to them wells up in people's heart, and it makes them welcoming. It makes them bless other people. It makes them receive and want to give out of overflowing love for this one who gave his all for them. Kelly Dorsey said this yesterday on the forum. She said, "What a costly price that he paid and such gut-wrenching pain he endured, that God would endure seeing the treasure of his heart ripped from the arms of his love to become a curse for us. Have you experienced this kind of love? But notice what happened when the Galatians began turning back to the law, back to those weak and miserable principles. Paul says, have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth? What? They're treating Paul like an enemy now. What happened to their welcoming and blessing him and willing to pluck out their eyes for him? Do you see what Paul's doing? Paul's asking the Galatians to consider the effects of the law on them. Consider the change that has happened to them and how they are now at odds with him who brought them such good news. Brothers and sisters, behold the effects of both the gospel of Jesus Christ and of the old covenant law. As you reflect upon your own life, are you experiencing the benefits of the gospel or the burden of the law? And how can you tell? Let's talk about it this week. I look forward to hearing from you.